Hello, my friends. This is Pat, and I was thinking, wouldn't it be a good idea if I showed you all about gesso, especially if you put it on paper like cardstock, because then you'd have a lot of pieces of paper that didn't cost very much money, and then you'd be able to do a lot of practicing. I know that's not something most of you want to do, but some of you want to become artists. Some of you just want to paint a picture, and that's fine too. But if you wanted to study, and it costs like, I don't know, probably $2 for a canvas board that's 9 by 12, and for a sheet of like just cardstock, it probably costs 30 cents. But we have to gesso it. I've got a little list here I wrote down. Let me see. Okay. Canvas pads are 60 cents a sheet, 9 by 12. Canvas boards are about $2 each in the value pack. And gessoed paper is about 21 cents a sheet. So I thought that this might be a good idea so that you guys can do lots of fun and practicing kinds of things. Oh, I won't talk about that right now. All right. So one of the things you might want to do right off the bat is write down on the back of your paper what kind of paper you're using, even though we're going to paint the back with the gesso. But I thought I should just let you know to do that so you'll know what you're working with. So gesso comes in all kinds of sizes. There's the great big gallon one, there's a half gallon, there's a quart, there's this little one here, what's this, maybe a pint or something, or 2 pints. And it also comes in colors. So Holbein makes colored ones, so that might be something that you might do, because when I work with a lot of landscapes, I sometimes will put orange underneath everything. So I might gesso with this. So one of the things that you'll do is you're going to put a whole lot of gesso in a container if you want, like this, and then we can put a lid on it, or you can take your paper right over to the gesso and kind of just put it on like that at first, and then I'm going to put the top on because gesso dries out and it costs a lot of money, well, for that size. So now I have a whole bunch of gesso on here. I could spread it with the palette knife to start it, and even leave it like that, because that looks pretty good for some people and some activities that you might do. In the studio, I'd be probably using something big like this because I like a little bit of a rough texture. Some people like it really smooth. So I'm going to use this roller, but you could also use this little roller. It depends on the size. These are, about 8 by 10 probably. So I'm going to roll this. And now you notice how I have a lot of bubbles on here. Let me get this all on here. Can you guys see the bubbles? Oh, maybe, I don't know. Let me see if I hold it up at a different light, maybe. Well, there are bubbles there. And so what you do if you have bubbles is you wait just a couple of seconds. Just a couple of seconds. And then if you don't, you hardly touch it now this time. Just barely touching it. Just barely. And then wait another couple of seconds. Doesn't take long. And you could have 10 of them going on at once. Or 30, because they're just pieces of paper. And then just again, gently, 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 and gently, gently, gently. So there's 2 things I need to tell you. I wouldn't bother sanding this, but if I was working on a board, like, here's one of my pink canvas boards. With that, I probably still wouldn't sand it in between. But some people like to sand it in between. I kind of like that little bit of a roughness. If you like things really smooth and slippery, well, then you could sand it in between. And in general, on these boards, because this is what I would do a painting on, I probably would gesso it 2 or 3 times and not sand it in between any of the times. In the past, I did, though. So you might start out that way. You have to kind of try. You play with all sorts of things. But now back to this piece of paper. What's going to happen with this piece of paper is it's going to curl up. See how this is curled up here? This is curled up. So what happens is that you have to paint the back of it also. So let me put this one aside, and I'm going to put the paint on the back of this one. Not that you have to see me do this, but maybe I'll put it on in a different way. This is a little bit heavier than cardstock, this one. And I could... This one, because it's cardboard and I can tell it's cardboard, I didn't have a name on it. But just you put it on just like that. Now I pressed down to do it this time, and I think I'm going to reach in here and get a little bit more. If you have like cereal boxes at home and you're going to throw them out, well, yes, you could do that, of course, but you might want to consider cutting off part of the cardboard, like pieces of cardboard, because that can be a lot of fun. Okay, see how it's curling up, but that's okay. And let me wait just a second, and I'll do it again. Because if you use cardboard, and let's say you don't gesso entirely and you just gesso a little bit, I don't know if you can see this. If you come in really close, come in really, really, really close. Can you sort of see that it's, let me see, that's a tea bag box. And I've gessoed, see how I've put some gesso on the side here on top? There's gesso underneath, and it's not like really covered a lot. So I didn't like put a lot on. I knew I was going to be using the cardboard. And I even wrote on the back, so you might want to write notes to yourself too, so you'll know what you're doing, because you're just learning. And I don't paint on cardboard all the time, so I was just learning too. So you guys, save some things. If you're trying to save money and you want to do a lot of exercises, I hope you do. Okay, so now I'm going back to this, and I'm just going to go gently like this. Gently, gently. This one on this side of the cardboard did not bubble up as much. But it's going to take a while for it to settle down, but it's going to be perfect when it's all settled down. I wanted to show you that you can also get thick gesso and put it in a container and put saran wrap on it. And in this other one, when I fill this up, I'm going to put wax paper and gesso on it, like that wax paper. And I meant not the gesso, but the top on it, like that. So that will keep it nice and moist for me to be able to use it another time. I should also tell you that what happens with gesso is that it gets on everything if you're not careful. So you do have to be careful. Maybe you'd wear an apron. And see how I put the newspaper down? That's the other thing. And now with this roller, I'd better put that roller right in water. And that's what I would suggest that you do until you get to the sink. My sink is upstairs now, so it's going to take me a few minutes. You don't want it to harden. It'll harden on your hands. It'll harden your table. It'll get on your clothes. And it's really hard to get out. So you always want to kind of have a wet paper towel handy and newspaper down. There's one more thing I was thinking I wanted to show you. I'm working on this painting. And this is something that you could do ahead of time. This is gloss black. I don't use too much black for much of anything. Oh. And when you go around the edges of... Let's say you wanted to give this as a gift to somebody. See, that's going to be pretty. We might even do it as a paint along with Pat. That might be a good idea. I just did it this morning. It's a lot of fun. So I'm going to paint the edges of this. And I want to show you how. If you get black paint on this little sponge, oops, not too much, and you face it towards you, and you just go along like that, see, then you wouldn't have to buy a frame for the person. Can you sort of see the difference between that? Face it sort of towards you. Go along like that. Go like that. It's not a big deal. It doesn't make a mess. Go like this. I mean, I found this out after doing lots and lots of ways, trying to find the right way. If I feel like I've got anything on there, just wipe it like that. I mean, the person that gets it as a gift might frame it, so you don't have to worry about it. But it might be nice if you wanted to give it or, donate it to an auction of some sort. This makes it just a little bit more finished looking. Yeah, see, that looks pretty good. See? You can't even tell I did anything hardly. So that would be nice for somebody. Okay, guys, I think that's about it. Buy gesso. Put it on a lot of pieces of paper, and then you can do all those exercises that I'm always suggesting that you do. I know everybody wants a picture, but if you practice, you'll get better, and then painting pictures will be kind of effortless. Really, seriously, I'm telling you the truth. Okay, guys, I'll see you later on the next video. Bye-bye.